Hello everyone, my name is Joseph, and I am going to be doing my presentation on optometry versus ophthalmology. So, you might be wondering, well, what are these two things? Well, they're basically the same thing. They're both the study of eyes. One of them, they just differ in the slightest bit. So, the big difference between optometry and ophthalmology is that one of them is mainly for diagnosing, prescribing, and finding out what's wrong with the eyes and how they all work. And that is what we call optometry, which is what I want to do in my future career. And the other one is ophthalmology. Now, an ophthalmologist is more like a surgeon. It's someone who studies the eye and performs surgeries on it and all that other stuff. So the big issue with these two is that they can never seem to communicate well together. Like, the optometrist will say something and then the ophthalmologist will disagree with it, and then they'll get into this argument, and it's just really inconvenient for the patients and for the workplace. It doesn't make a very healthy work environment. But as you can see here, this picture on the left shows the job of an optometrist. You can see them examining the eye and seeing what's wrong with it. And then the picture on the right shows the job of an ophthalmologist, which what they're doing in that picture is they're taking a eye test to see what's wrong with the eye so they know what surgery to perform on it. So obviously our problem is that the two professions can never communicate well together. But further on that, it's mainly caused because of the small differences in their work, and it just does a lot of stuff in the workplace. And if you were a patient and you heard two of your doctors arguing with each other, you wouldn't want to be in that doctor's office at all. You would want to be in a healthier, safer work environment. It just makes a sense of untrustworthiness for everyone around it. But as I was doing some research on this, I came across an article by Kahan Hoang, and he wrote an article entitled "The Evolving Relationship." He wrote an article entitled "The Evolving Relationship Between Optometrists and Ophthalmologists: Enhancing Patient Care Through Collaboration." This was published to the Optometry Times website, and his main point in this article was to examine the evolving collaboration between the two professions and why it is so poor in the workplace. And right here, there is a picture of him. He is the author, and he is also an optometrist, so he is very skilled in his field. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He's experienced all this stuff firsthand. But anyway, so what do we need to do to solve this issue? Well, obviously the issue is that they can't communicate correctly, and that causes harm in the workplace. So as people and patients, we can put an end to this issue by impacting that impacts the community. We need to put an end to it. Essentially, that's our goal. But our actual goal is to provide argument-free healthcare practice between optometrists and ophthalmologists. If this goal is achieved, it will provide better eye care for patients and a better work environment for the optometrist and the ophthalmologist. And the plan that I have came up with, and I did extensive research on this, it is to develop 6 new methods of communication, those 6 being teleoptometry, standardized digital patient records, patient education and engagement apps, workshops on effective communication in the workplace, optometry communication networks, and multilingual support services. So I'm just going to go a little in depth on each of these six methods, as I like to call them. So the first method that we have is teleoptometry platforms. Now, teleoptometry is basically, imagine FaceTiming your doctor. That is basically, in short, what teleoptometry is. And it is, as I was researching this, I found that teleoptometry has been proven to be very useful for communication between older patients that can't really get out of the house to go see an optometrist, and even younger patients that are like a little shy to go to a doctor's office. So it's a very good solution, and it would help, having a closed line between an optometrist and you would help to not have the ophthalmologist come in and be like, that's not right or that's wrong. But yeah, that is a really good one that I found. The second one that I came up with is to standardize digital patient records. This is a centralized electronic health record system that would be tailored for optometry patients alone, so that the optometrist can more efficiently and accurately take care of the patient. And it would have a long-lasting impact on the reduction of communication errors and misdiagnoses. It would provide a comprehensive view of both patient health and history to better eliminate any miscommunication between the two professions. The third method that I have come up with is patient education and engagement apps. Patient education and engagement apps are mobile apps designed for patient education that can improve health literacy and advance to treatment. This solution is in the form of a mobile app, so people younger, who are more experienced with mobile apps, can help to use it. And even people like adults and older people, they can learn how to use it, and it'll be much more efficient than if someone's like never been to the eye doctor before and they don't know how. They can just go on the app and research how. The fourth method is to have workshops within the optometrist office, inside the eye doctor office, to help kind of identify what is good communication and what is bad communication. I think this is out of the 6 methods, I think this would be the most effective, because it would help everyone to get along with each other and learn how to get along with patients. The 5th method is a communication network for professionals in the field of optometry and ophthalmology. And what this means is that there'll be a dedicated online platform to share knowledge, discuss cases, and collaborate on patient care. And this would enhance professional communication, so the two professions would be able to communicate much more efficiently rather than arguing and bickering about every little thing. And the last method that I've come up with is a multilingual support service for the people who need to go see an eye doctor, but they don't necessarily speak English, or they have very little knowledge of English, and that would help that would just help the language barriers to kind of cease to exist. But those are the 6 communication methods. I think that they are very feasible. As you can see here, most of the initiatives that were listed, or methods, whatever you want to call them, they entail things like regulatory approval, patient adaptation or adoption, high cost, resistance from smaller clinics, and development barriers. But if the optometrist can get over all these challenges, it would be very feasible and easy to pull off, as really it's not that difficult. It doesn't take a very long time. But what are the positive consequences of this? So there were 3 main ones that I identified. Easier communication in the workplace, easier communication between patients and doctors, and more ways to communicate. These 3, it's like, if you have these 3 things, you can communicate with anyone, with any profession, any patient, any other doctor. And I think that it just works, But what do we need to do in short? This is a very bad issue, I think, around the world. I've heard a lot of, from my personal experiences, I've heard a lot of people struggling with communication, especially outside of optometry. I know that this presentation is about optometry, but even outside of optometry, there's a lot of communication issues around the world. And I think that if we can fix the issue within optometry, we can base it outside of optometry and benefit the whole world. And so what we need to do as people is we need to start asking about communication tools. We need to start being proactive about how to communicate with people better. We need to start getting out of our shells and learning how to communicate with other people, because communication, in my eyes and in the eyes of many other people, is one of the most important things in the world. If you cannot communicate with someone, then you cannot have like harmony, you cannot coexist together. And I have learned that throughout my time in high school, even throughout my time in middle school. And I'm sure I will learn it eventually when I become an optometrist, and in the future, hopefully by the time I become an optometrist, this issue will be fixed. And if it's not, I will do everything in my power to try to fix it. But here are my sources cited. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.